Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Renton Reflex. Today, I'm going to talk about what's often considered as the best, worst movie of all time, Tommy Wiseau's anti-masterpiece, The Room. For those of you that don't know, it's a 2003 independent film that was written, produced, directed, and starred the then unknown Tommy Wiseau. He initially conceived the idea as a play, then as a novel, neither of which he could really get off the ground. So he decided to make a movie out of it and raised $6 million for the project. How he got the money is a little ambiguous, as he has always kept it a mystery. He did reveal at one point that he raised some of the money by selling imported leather jackets from Korea. There have also been claims that he raised the money through his experiences in real estate and entrepreneurship. Though, if you ask me, he probably swindled some of his investors by playing sex games with them, like Max Bialystock did in The Producers. But then again, who would want to play sex games with a man who looks like a human version of a catfish? But I digress. Let's talk about the plot. A man and a woman, the man being played by Tommy Wiseau, are engaged to be married, but then the woman realizes that she no longer loves him, so she decides to cheat on him by dating his best friend. On paper, this doesn't sound that bad of an idea for a soap opera, but the key here is execution. Much like the legendary filmmaker Edward D. Wood Jr., it's sometimes a fascinating wonder to try to understand what was going through Tommy Wiseau's mind when he put this movie together. The choices he made to go into this movie are so baffling, it's inconceivable. I can't even help but think that he never went back to his original script to actually proofread everything so that he could make possible revisions to it. Though, from what I could gather, revisions were made to the script during this movie's messy production. And from what I could also gather, Tommy wanted to tell a story involving drugs, sex, and betrayal. While this movie does have those three elements involved, they're not exactly conveyed in a way that you may think they do, and they're not tied together very well either. I could go on and on about all the things that are wrong with this movie, but instead, I'll give you some examples. Its acting ranges from laughably bad to somewhat decent. It has subplots that don't really go anywhere. It has a repetitive use of exterior shots of San Francisco, as well as a few bits of dialogue. Its story is so melodramatic and full of non-sequitur dialogue. Some of its characters are complete morons. It has sex scenes that go on for far too long, and on top of all that, it consists of ideas that don't have any major relevance to the plot whatsoever. One example of an idea involves a few characters tossing a football around, and this gets revisited time and time again. By the end of the movie, you might ask yourself, what kind of a movie was that? Was it a soap opera, a stage play adapted into a movie, a softcore porno, or what? Interestingly enough, because of its reputation for being so bad it's good, a cult following had emerged, becoming sort of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show of this generation. It has occasional screenings all over the world, where attendees dress as their favorite characters, they toss footballs around, they shout lines along with the movie, even play a game or two during the screening. Here's one example of a game. Throughout the film, there are pictured frames of silverware in them. Apparently, Tommy Wiseau never bothered to replace the stock photos inside the frames. Now, in this game, anytime those pictured frames appear on screen, you take a plastic spoon, throw it at the screen, and yell, "Spoon!" It's actually kind of fun. You should try it. So with all of this in mind, here are my final thoughts on the film. Is The Room a good movie? Heck no. Do I recommend it? Heck yes. This movie is just unbelievable. You'll never see a bad movie of this kind of magnitude anywhere else. It just astounds me with the way it gets everything wrong that At the same time, it's an absolute marvel. This movie's a prime example of what can happen when a filmmaker wants to tell a good story and yet has no clue how to do it right. With the way this movie's constructed and executed, it brings forth such an unbelievable experience that, at times, it can be surprisingly entertaining. It's no wonder it's often considered as the Citizen Kane of bad movies. It just has to be seen to be believed. If So Bad It's Good movies are your kind of thing, then this one is definitely for you. For my rating, I give this film on a scale between 1 and 10 a 3. And that's from a general standpoint. On a So Bad It's Good scale, also ranging between 1 and 10, it gets an 8. It's pretty good, in a reverse sense of the word. So I say you should check it out and see what makes it a true anti-masterpiece. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been my review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.